I never thought much about, the one cat that we have, the ones in the series it's an older series now at this point.
Uh-huh.
They've been gone for a while, but we do have one now who's very talkative and we have long conversations with her. I was joking about my husband was in the other room while I was doing something last night and I could hear him talking to the cat and her meowing back at him. You want to go out? No? Okay. Yeah, I get it. So I think they do understand we're communicating with
Mhm.
them. And so why not? They're
Yes.
communicating with us, we're communicating with them. My
Mhm.
cats have always been very clear on letting me know what they wanted. So
Okay. Hello, I'm Derek Cash with the North Little Rock Public Library System and want to welcome you to Meet the Author. Joining us today is multi-talented Bronze Moonbeam Children's Book Award and Silver Mom's Choice Award winner, Meg Dendler, here to discuss her book, Slinky Steps Out. Thank you for joining us today.
it's so nice to be here with you.
Okay. All right. It's always nice to have a children's book author with us. And I just want to just kind of start off by asking you, what inspired you? I understand that this is a series, but
It
what
is.
inspired you to write the book? Or if you want to go into the whole series, what inspired you to write it?
Well, I have been writing always,
Mm-hmm.
from a picture book in fifth grade, I've just always been writing things. But I did a lot of magazine articles and interviews. I did movie reviews for a long time, got to interview some fascinating people. So, I mean, I was making grocery money and doing interviews along the way. But I was also a teacher and I taught, the littles. I taught
Mm-hmm.
middle grade English and things like that. So kids' books have always been something that I really enjoyed, that I was fascinated with. And it really, these books began with the two little kittens that we found in a box when they were 2 days old. And they grew up to be very, very weird cats. And so I started writing stories about Kimba, who is the main character of these books, and that she was so weird because she's an alien. That's the logic and explanation behind all of the weird things, that cats like to do. So that sort of spawned this series and it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And we did have the four cats who are the core. Now, in real life, are they aliens? I don't think so. I don't really think, but I do integrate real things that happened in our lives within, then they have their own, side agendas that they're doing, all these alien missions and whatever. And Slinky Steps Out is the fourth book in the series,
Mm-hmm.
where that cat, Slinky, did go to college, did go to University of Arkansas with our older daughter, and sort of her take on this, going to college and leaving and having some adventures on her own.
Now, having said that, being a series, do you have a projection like we'll only have like 7 titles in this series, or will it just keep going on until you just kind of get tired of it and then go on to something else?
I've done some other things in between, which helps.
Mhm.
I kind of come and go from it, and there's 6 books now. The sixth one just came out. That's probably it for a while.
Mhm.
But you never know when another animal or another cat is going to show up. I also have the 2 dog companion books that go with it, and there are other dogs in our life that I haven't written about that have some great stories. So, never say never on there being more. It's not on the agenda, but there could be. There could be.
Okay. Do you have any favorite authors, or were there any authors that influenced you in terms of just like the career as a writer or your writing style?
I'm going to have to go to Beverly Cleary immediately and her
Mhm.
book Socks, which I have read I don't know how many times and did when I was little. So I would, be remiss if I didn't say I read this book about a cat when I was little, and it let
Mhm.
me know you could write books about cats. Certainly Sharon Creech, Judy Blume, and her kids' books. But I also write books for adults. So I have a lot of Anne McCaffrey in there. Um, I think everything you read is going to influence you a little bit, whether it's something you want to write or you don't want to write, and styles that you like and don't like. And I read all the time. So those are probably the main ones, though, that I would give credit to.
Was it difficult getting published?
Well, I did it myself. So,
Oh, okay.
but yes, it's very difficult, especially
Mhm.
writing children's books, because most publishers really only do a few a year.
Okay.
And when I decided to self-publish Kimba, I had had a couple of publishers say, "Hey, send us the whole thing. This sounds really interesting." And then it wasn't quite a fit for them.
Hmm.
I thought, well, and you wait 6 months between each of these things. And I finally just said, if it's good enough to get them to want to read it,
Mhm.
it's a good enough idea to go forward with on my
Mhm.
own.
Okay. Well, our library has several in this series, so it's obviously a very good book. So congratulations to
Thank
you.
thank
Okay,
you.
okay. About the book itself,
Yes.
something I thought is very interesting is how we as human beings talk to our pets, as if you assume they understand what you're saying to them, etc. Could you comment on that? I think it's just I just noticed this when I was reading your book because your characters do this. I was thinking I did that to our dogs, and I just never really thought much about it.
No, I never thought much about, the one cat that we have, the ones in the series it's an older series now at this point.
Uh-huh.
They've been gone for a while, but we do have one now who's very talkative and we have long conversations with her. I was joking about my husband was in the other room while I was doing something last night and I could hear him talking to the cat and her meowing back at him. You want to go out? No, okay, yeah, I get it. So I think they do understand we're communicating with
Mhm.
them. And so why not? They're
Yes.
communicating with us, we're communicating with them. My
Mhm.
cats have always been very clear on letting me know what they wanted. So
Okay.
with or without words, we understood from each other.
Uh-huh. Well, I just thought it just one of those things that obviously wasn't your intention, but it was just something that I picked up on in the book and just thought it was just a charming thing. So I'm glad you had a story behind that sort of thing.
Yes.
In your book, you've got a lot of pictures of real cats. Are they're your, I take it your cats.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
anybody that's a picture in the book is based on a real cat, yes.
Okay.
Some are pulled that aren't real, but a lot of them are pulled from other people's cats I know.
Okay.
Medusa gloriosa, the blue ribbon show cat who's very snotty, is a friend's cat. So
Okay. All right. Along the story in that takes place in Slinky Steps Out, you you bring up the fact that the cats do the same occupations as the parents. Was
yes.
that why did you have them do that? It was something that is quite noticeable.
If you're an adult. I don't know that the kids always catch
Oh,
it.
okay. Uh-huh.
There's a very definite caste system
Mhm.
in
Yes.
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 And by the time you get to Slinky Steps Out, they're starting to, Kimba comes at it from not having grown up on the ship, not knowing who she is. So she just
Hmm.
comes at it from this Earth mentality, and she doesn't understand why it's like that. Why, if somebody's good at something, they don't get to go do that as their job. And the other
Hmm.
cats, oh no, 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 we stick to our lane, we do what we've been told to do. And part of it, uh, makes sense to them because there's millions of them throughout space and it would be too complicated. But on the smaller margins, why can't you step out a little bit? And that's in this particular book, that's where they really start to push against that. And it is resolved as you go into
Hmm.
later books that this one character is allowed to step
Hmm.
outside of that whole system and they begin to be a little more flexible, even though for millions of years it's just easier in their mind.
Hmm.
That's not necessarily better or worse unless, you're the high commander, but everybody has a job, everybody does their job, but there's no sense of stepping out of it.
Okay. Okay. I like books. I'm not great at analysis of literature. And I know that there are people who study and they're very good at doing that. If you can just tell me a story and I can and appreciate it, that's fine. So when I'm going to ask you this question, were there any themes you were trying to get the young person to pick up on in this, or were you just telling a story?
I think there's always some themes,
Uh-huh.
especially when you're writing for kids. Uh,
Hmm.
there's definitely themes of family and, standing by the people that are important to you. And sometimes
Yes.
characters
Hmm.
have to decide,
Hmm.
who it is they're going to stand
Hmm.
with. There's the pulls between the human world and the alien world. That's actually the main plot of why Kimba saves the world is she going to stand with, the alien cats who are her family or her
Hmm.
human family that she really thinks of as her family.
Uh-huh.
Because the cats kind of, have plans for Earth.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yes. Um, and I think that is woven really throughout it is this loyalty and friendship and being, willing to take risks to help the cats or the people
Hmm.
that you love.
Okay. All right. Okay. I was impressed in this book. that you were great at geography. You bring up Aoshima Island in Japan, that it was full of cats. Uh, how did you know to put that in there? Or what made you think to put that in there? Because I
Yeah.
didn't get a chance, I should have, but I didn't get a chance to look it up online to see. But you tell the audience.
It's actually was just through some research, I think, and I watch a lot of, nonfiction, PBS-y kind of things.
Mhm.
I don't actually know the first way that I found out about it, but it's funny that you bring it up because it is very real. And
Mhm.
my younger daughter, who's Leia in the books, is living in Japan
Mm.
probably forever. She just loves it and went to this island not very long
Mm.
ago. And we were very excited she was going to go, but it was a horrible day. It was ridiculously hot, and all the cats were hiding. So, because it was like 100 degrees.
Oh, wow.
But it is this island covered with cats. There's like 6 cats for every human that lives on the island, and they take very good care of them. It just seemed like a really cool thing that alien cats would appreciate that a place like that exists on Earth.
Uh-huh.
It would be like a retirement community,
Ah.
where they. I think that's just part of, as a writer, you really do have to be paying attention to just stuff
Mhm.
in the world, and you make little notes. Oh, that would be fun to add to something, or, paying attention and noticing things. And
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, who knows? Maybe some of the children or even the adults who read this, oh, well, let me look that up, and they'll just learn a little bit more. And so I'm just was pleased that you put that in there. Yes. Okay. There is a part in the story where Slinky ran out of the apartment, and when the repairman he comes in, um, and he opens the door. The repairman comes in to open the door, and he leaves the door open, and Sleeky runs out. I thought that is so typical of cats, but it's also typical of repairmen. They don't think maybe they've got a dog, maybe they've got a cat, and they just leave the door open and the pet runs out. I'm so glad you put that in. Children may not appreciate it, but any adult is going to.
And a lot of things like that in my books are true. For Slinky, that is not true, but
Uh-huh.
there was a time where we thought it had happened.
Mm-hmm.
And she had been scared by the repairman and really, really hidden well. So we thought she had gotten out, and there was many a panicked phone call. And so then you have that little, ooh, what if that was part of, the story? And what if
Mm-hmm.
she did get out? What would
Mm-hmm.
that look like? How would
Mm-hmm.
that work?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What on a more potentially sad note, I noted in one part you've got where Slinky is under a car, and someone from the apartments comes out and gets into the car, and they turn the engine on. And the first thing I thought of was my mother did that to her car, and then she heard the cat get killed. Now, obviously, it doesn't happen in the story, but it kind of sent a quick shiver down my spine. But quickly knowing, reading just a little bit more on, that doesn't happen. But it was just, maybe you can make a comment on that.
Well, gosh, always knock on the hood if you have a car
Yes.
that stays
Yeah.
outside. And the older daughter does still live on campus, and there are cats everywhere.
Mm.
Go to visit her. She just lives in a little bit off campus housing. And they do have to do that, knock on the hood a little bit before you start the car. Fortunately, I just had Slinky under it, not
Mhm.
inside it. So
Yeah. Uh-huh.
all she had to
Yeah.
do was run. She was
Uh-huh.
okay.
Okay. Well, the story has a very happy ending. Uh, and I enjoyed reading it. I want to ask you now if you'll take a few minutes to read a page or two, because I think there's something charming about hearing a child story read. It's not like necessarily a bedtime story, but it's a nice to hear, especially with the author. So if you're willing to do that for the audience, we would really appreciate hearing you.
Why don't I just do the first little bit of the first chapter so we can
Okay. Yes.
get a little peek at it, get past all the last time in the series. So chapter 1, and this is, I don't know if everybody saw the cover, and we even have on the little boxes college, that they're going off to college, and the Razorback red because they're going to the University of Arkansas. So chapter 1 is moving boxes. Slinky watched in horror as Mindy pulled the clear packing tape across the top of yet another big cardboard box. The piercing sound of the tape was bad enough, but the reality of what packed boxes meant was even worse. They were moving again. Should we take Mufasa? The girl asked her cat, wrapping her arms around the giant stuffed toy. It seems a shame to leave him behind. You wanted to take him on trips with us when you were little, Mama said as she wandered into the room. She set a basket of clean laundry down on the bed, careful to stay just far enough away from Slinky not to startle her. It was easy to startle Slinky, and her eyes were wide today. I remember wanting to take him, Mindy smiled. I pretended that Mufasa was running along the ground under the airplane so he could be in Florida with us at Grandpa's house. Mama nodded and picked a book up from the shelf. Are you going to leave most of these here? She asked. I think so. I can always come get them if I need them, but I think the assignments will keep me busy enough. Okay, Mama shrugged. Dinner's almost ready. She started to leave, but then she hesitated in the doorway. Are you really sure you want to take Slinky with you? I know it's allowed in the apartment, but I'm just worried that she will be scared and lonely with you gone so much of the day. Mindy set the packing tape down. Both of them looked at Slinky, crouching nervously on the bed. She stared back at them with bright yellow eyes. Don't you think she'd miss me even more if I left her here? I suppose so. Mama nodded and headed upstairs to finish making dinner. What do you think, Slinks? Mindy said. Are you ready for college? Slinky blinked twice, but she didn't know what to say. She didn't know what college was, but she did know that she didn't want Mindy to go anywhere without her. She hopped up on a nearby box and meowed sweetly. Her girls scratched the top of her head and right behind her ears. I'm not sure I'm ready either, Mindy admitted, but we can face it together. From on top of a box in the game room, Kimba twitched her ears. College? What's college? She wondered. Whatever it was, there were moving boxes involved. Headquarters needed to know about it.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, that kind of whets your appetite, to know what's getting ready to happen, etc. And when you were reading that, something I didn't put that I wanted to bring up that I forgot. I think one of my favorite parts in the book was when Slinky is in the apartment and she has the fight with the dog and is having to maneuver her way. And you could clearly tell, or at least my impression was, and of course, because it is about a cat, the cat's going to get out alive and is going to win in this fight. But I just thought sometimes dogs aren't as backward, maybe, sometimes the dog wins, but I just like that part to see how you're thinking like a dog and like a cat. Yeah. So, yes. And so thank you so much for being here, Meg. And we want you to let the audience know if they want to purchase a book, how can they contact you through social media? Where could they buy a book, copy of, or any in your series?
Probably the easiest way to find me is just my website, and it's Meg Dendler, DENDLER.com, megdendler.com. And that has links to pretty much everything. And I am all over social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and I just joined Blue Sky with everybody else. It seems like the exodus of writers that has happened to Blue Sky. Yeah, that has all the links there, and it has links how you can get books either from Amazon or if you want them signed, to get them from me. Okay. I'm actually going to be in Berryville this weekend on Saturday at the community center there. They're having a little craft fair. So I do that a lot so that you can get them in person and meet me and I can sign it, right. That may be over by the time everybody sees this. But
okay. Well, I'm sure that will be, if they can meet you, it's always an honor to be able to meet the author and get a signed copy. So I wish you the very best, them as well as you, for the very best on that.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. If you're interested in reading Slinky Steps Out or any of the other books in this series, you can check them out from the library or purchase them wherever books are sold. Also, you can find more information at megdendler.com or at our website, nlrlibrary.org. Thank you for joining us today.